you can see the regret on Jimmy's face because being with Chelsea has put him through a lot. And him seeing Jessica and realizing that Jessica is the woman that he thought Chelsea was is interesting. And to hear him say he's nervous when he sees her, it's like, oh, okay, do you, buddy? And I really loved Amy's dad. I thought he was the sweetest ever, and the way Johnny was able to impress him. Oh my God, I love them as a couple. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind, Season 6, Episode 10. Oh, we're only back for 2 episodes. I thought they would upload at least 3. Anyway, you have Jeremy meet up with his mom. They go to a dog park. And so they're having a conversation, and he's telling his mother that, oh, I got myself in trouble because, I was in a love triangle. So I went out with the guys, and then I found out that, my ex from the love triangle would be there, and I just thought I'll deal with it when I got there. And then once I got there, we started talking until about 4:30 in the morning. It was a constructive conversation. And then I drove her home. And it's like, the more you explain yourself, the worse it becomes. And I give his mother credit for saying, you're lucky, that's all she did was break up with you. With me, it would have been more. And it's like, who wants to sit up till 5 o'clock waiting for someone? Because you're now worried. Are they in an accident? Are they dead? Are they in hospital? Where are they? For him to say he was chatting, what was he chatting to her about? Why didn't he take her home? Or why didn't he speak to his fiance first and say, I want to talk to this person, blah, 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 blah. And then that's it. For his argument doesn't make sense, because I remember him telling Lauren that, oh, I sent you, my location. And it's like, your location has nothing to do with what you're doing. And I give Lauren a lot of credit for breaking up with him, because most people would have just stayed with him just for the sake of staying with him and to be on the show. So hey, if he's going to be that bad while you're engaged, imagine what about when you get married and he knows this woman longer. This woman has already said to him he's welcome to come back to her if things don't work out with you. Oh, I really love Jimmy's family. I think they come across as very down to earth, amazing people who love their children very much, it seems. And I guess this is why Jimmy said, he was excited to be marrying, Megan Fox because, of the description that Chelsea gave him in the pod. But they do come across as very humble people. He comes across as someone from very humble background. His dad looks like he's struggling to walk. I don't know whether he's got a medical history of some sort that's causing that. And so to see them sit down with Chelsea and Chelsea to lie to their faces and say, we haven't had any disagreements. And it's like, Chelsea girl, please. Just tell them, yeah, we've been having growing pains. We've been struggling amongst, with certain topics and certain things. We were in a love triangle, and that's been one of our sort of bones of contention. Instead of you lying to these people, because they are going to see you on TV shouting and screaming at their son, what will they say? What will they say? I don't get it. I like the fact that the sister was asking, marriage is not easy. So what are your expectations? And I think Chelsea likes the idea that she wants Jimmy, but I don't think she's ready to be married to Jimmy. And Jimmy, I don't get what he really likes about Chelsea, because he said, she's the girl for me. She lifts me up. And it's like, nah, we've seen her break you down, and we've seen her cry because you haven't kissed her. So I don't know what you're talking about. Really, I don't get it. I don't know how I feel about Clay meeting AD's mom. Because I think, AD's mom came across like a groupie. She was too excited to, the fact that they spoke about, you don't need to worry about somebody's physical appearance in the pods. You just want to know who they are. And then she's excited when she sees what he looks like. To me, it didn't make sense. It's not matching up, because I think she should have been more impressed with his character, with how he carries himself. I know Clay brought his representative. He brought his best self to the table, and he explained about not having seen AD because, he was busy working. He is working, he's an entrepreneur. He does this. I think for me, it sounds like Clay came to promote his businesses on Love is Blind. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong. It sounds like They are more superficial than they're making out. Both Clay and AD, they come across as more superficial than they are actually making out, or than they are giving themselves credit for, because of the way they're talking about their partner and how good looking they are and what their physical appearances are. The fact that the mom called them, Michelle and Barack, okay, it's nice to be inspired by people, but I think she should have focused on them as a couple. I like the advice the mother gave him, in the sense that he was saying, oh, I'm affected by my parents' divorce. And she said, that's their relationship. At the end of the day, you have to appreciate the fact that they were together for 24 years before they got divorced. So give them credit for that, and give them credit for all the good things that came out of that marriage, irregardless of the fact that it didn't work out. I am divorced. AD's dad is late, but you have to give us credit for the time that we were in the relationship and all the good things that came out of that relationship, which I think is the best advice anyone can give someone. So it was good for him to appreciate that, but I still don't think Clay is it for AD. I don't see what AD's mother sees in Clay. Yes, he's hardworking, yes, but some of the things that he said make me question, make me feel like he's not ready. And the fact that he said, I need to see what I need to do for her, how I need to show up for her, how I need to support her. And it's like, now you're saying that, but all this time it's been, what are you doing for me? What are you? And so I don't know. I am anxious about that couple. I really don't know where I stand when it comes to Clay and AD. And I think the mom should have asked more questions. And I think maybe she should have brought somebody else who would have been sort of the bad cop while she played the good cop. That's just how I feel. Oh my God. Why? Amy's dad had me crying. I like the fact that they sat down and had a conversation with Johnny, because Johnny has, in my opinion, has been the most mature of all the guys in the experiment. He came in, he went for Amy, and he stuck to Amy. He hasn't looked sideways at anybody else. And they really are very cute together. They're really very loving towards one another. It's the most beautiful thing to see. So to see them sit down with her dad and have a conversation. I remember the last most awkward dad meetup I saw after Alexa. I think Alexa's dad as well was a bit, but when Bliss and Zach met her dad, he was on fire. So I was expecting, Amy's dad to be on fire, and to see how calm he was and how reassured he was after speaking to Johnny. It was amazing because Johnny, comes from a loving family. We saw his sisters and how excited they were at meeting Amy. I think if any couple makes it this season, touch wood, is Amy and Johnny, because of how loving they are and because how their families have accepted them as a couple. Oh my God, I could not have wished for more. And for Johnny to ask for permission to marry Amy, that was sweet. And the dad said, I had to take a moment just to scare you up a bit. And then to see him give his daughter his blessing, he must have been very impressed by Johnny. Johnny is only 27, but the way he's carried himself has been nothing but a revelation. And I love this for him. I really love it for him and Amy, because they always seem to just be focused on one another. Even when they went away, when the couples went away for a holiday, I remember all the wives were talking and Amy said, oh, where's Johnny? I have to go and look for Johnny. Not that she was being toxic, but just she missed her person and she wanted to go and see her person. So that was really cute. I guess every season they need a toxic couple, and this season we've all agreed that it's Jimmy and Chelsea, because they start off having a conversation about them as a couple and the fact that Jimmy went out, and then she starts fishing and she then complains that one of her friends from the pods told her that they saw Jimmy with someone, and now she's upset because, he went out with one of his female friends, he slept with one of his female friends before, and she feels some type of way, and it's like, it's too much. I don't know why he's putting up with her. There's no amount of love that deserves to go through this. And for her to be sort of that psychologically abusive, in my opinion, and sort of all over the place and be toxic and then turn around and say, I love you. I said this before and I'll say it again. They're using the word I love you to abuse each other. That's the impression that I get. Their I love yous don't carry any weight with me. They don't mean anything to me, because every single time they say I love you, then something else comes up. I love you, but something else comes up, and it's like, what is it? What exactly is going on between the two of you? Make it make sense, because to me it's not making sense. It really isn't, and I don't get why Jimmy continues to put up with this, because no one deserves to put up with this. No one deserves this type of relationship. And so I don't get why he's then sat there and had to go through this and put up with it and continue to argue. And this is what the producers love, because they kept following her. And I think they encouraged her to follow him when he went into the bathroom and was brushing his teeth. And then she went on, oh, please don't leave me. Don't leave you for what? Why? You're telling me you don't want my friends, yet you met his friends and you told them to their faces that you really like them. How will they feel when they see this play out on camera? And also the fact that he told her in private that, I don't want to discuss it on camera, but I had this connection with one of my friends and we slept together. I think this is why Chelsea made that comment when she met Jimmy's friends, because she said, oh, one of my guy friends, I slept with him before. I think this was after Jimmy had told her, and so she wanted the girls to know that she is aware that one of them slept with him and she had her eye on them. That's the impression that I got, because it doesn't make sense for her to make that random comment. And after she's been told, don't discuss it on camera, this is something that I want to keep private because she's already on camera and I don't want people judging her, and then she brings it up again on camera. I think she's just trying to manipulate this man to get this man to bend her a whim and to be at her feet and be begging her. She needs counseling. She really does. I'm confused with AD and Clay. What was Clay saying? Was he saying that he's not ready for marriage and he wants them to say no on decision day or on wedding day and then try it outside of the experiment? That's how it came across to me, because AD is saying she bought into the idea of the experiment and she wants to move according to the regulations of the experiment. For me, that shouldn't be it. The experiment should not dictate your relationship. If you really like this man, unless you're worried that if you leave the experiment without him saying yes, then he is never going to say yes to you. That's one thing. But if you are saying you really like this man and he really likes you, but he just wants time away from the pressure of the experiment to see whether you are definitely a genuine thing for him or whether he has genuine feelings for you, then I would go with that and say, okay, fine, let's give each other a time frame that in 6 months, if we are not ready, then that's it. So for her to say, I bought into the experiment, I'm not getting it. And for him to say, I've always gone by what I've seen on the show and how the guys have always been ready, and I don't think he's not ready for marriage. I don't think he's ready for marriage. If he was ready for marriage, we would have seen it. But because he's always bringing up cheating and the fact that he's saying, oh, I rely on you at this time because I'm really stressed. No, I don't think he was ready for marriage. I think people like Brett were ready for marriage. Zach was ready for marriage. Even Marshall, I think, was ready for marriage. But I don't think Clay is ready for marriage. I think Clay likes the idea of who AD is, but I don't think he is emotionally or mentally ready to commit to anyone. And it's a pity that AD it's important for her to give him an ultimatum, but is he just going to say yes just for the sake of saying a yes and then in a year's time get divorced like Jarrett and Diana? Make that make sense. I don't get it, and I'm still as confused as anything. Just when you thought Nick and Danielle were toxic, Chelsea and Jimmy said, hold my beer, I'll show you what toxic is. Because, my God, they are really bad. They're really bad. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. They continue to use the word I love you, but I don't think they know what it means, because it seems like they're using it as a way to punish each other or as a way to get what they want from the other person. So they go through this turmoil of ups and downs whereby they're arguing with one another, they're saying some of the most horrible things you could say to someone, and then they turn around and say, I love you. And it's like, what do you love about me? What? The fact that we've just dragged each other over the coals and we're telling each other some of the most horrible things anyone could tell someone, and now we're in love. Make that make sense? So they agree that their fight was really uncalled for, and that, Chelsea stepped over the line by bringing in his friends and the fact that he slept with his friend, which I think I totally agree, actually. It's terrible, because how does the person feel seeing all this play out on Netflix? And this is going to live there till eternity or until Netflix goes out of business. And so for her to not realize what she did wrong, I think she knows how to get him to accept anything she wants. And this is what she did. She used her female powers, more or less, for lack of a better word, to get away with whatever she did. I don't think they are ready for marriage. I think they need to go to counseling. That's just my opinion. I think they need to go to couples therapy, and they need to deal and learn how to communicate, because their communication style is terrible. It's terrible. So you have the beach party. Oh, this is what Clay was talking about. He was talking about parking and private area and blah 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 blah, and I couldn't understand what he meant. Anyway, the pod squad meets up. We all know they always have this meetup for the pod squad. So the pod squad meetup, you have Laura. I was calling her Lauren. I don't know why. You have Laura, Amy, AD, and Chelsea go and sit by the fire pit, and the only two guys there is Johnny and Jimmy until Jeremy arrives. And so the girls are talking, and they start talking, and then AD makes it a point to say, no, Laura needs to go first because there's this thing going on with Jeremy. And you have Amy sort of say, what I heard from Johnny, and Johnny told her verbatim what happened, and she repeated it. And so Laura was able to confirm that, yes, that's exactly what happened, but, he must have got a blowjob or something, because what were they doing until 5 o'clock? And then he gets home at 6 and blah, blah. And it's just like, oh my God, this sounds terrible. This really does sound terrible. And I know people at times still have a connection to the person that was their number 2 in the pods when they leave the pods, because it's not like they leave the pods, they break up, they leave the pods, and they have time away for months or whatever. It's a couple of weeks later you meet up with that person you had feelings for. So it's bound to be expected that people will feel some type of way. But I think Sarah Ann crossed the boundary the moment she wrote, if things don't work out, get in touch with me. Especially when she knew he was engaged to Laura and they had plans to get married. I think she should have taken a step back. And to hear Laura sort of describe her situation, she is very upset. And I give her credit for setting boundaries. At least she wasn't all over the place like Chelsea. She was upset about something, moved out and moved to her apartment. Jeremy, on his part, says, yes, she moved out, but the thing is, when she moved out, she wasn't open to discussion. She felt some type of way, and whatever Jeremy said, he was always the bad guy. And it's like, yeah, she's setting boundaries. She's not going to allow you to disrespect her, and she's not going to allow you to play games and be sort of moving between her and somebody else. So I give her credit for that. But then also, I then worry about the fact that if she is upset about this, and if she feels some type of way about this, what's going to happen then? What's going to happen? In regards, is this the end of the two of you, or is there still the door still open, or are you taking time out just to cool down for a bit? Then you think, oh, do I still want to try things with him, or do I want to move on? It's very vague in that aspect, so I don't know how they're going to play it out. It's interesting that you have Jimmy and Johnny saying they don't want to be involved in the drama involving Jeremy, which tells you that a lot more happened than has been revealed on camera. So the guys must know exactly what happened with Jeremy and Sarah Ann, but they've chosen to remain neutral and not say anything and wait for Jeremy to handle his mess, which is bound to be messy. Anyway, you have Trevor arrive, and Chelsea's excitement was a bit too much, because I have a feeling that if Jimmy had done exactly the same thing, she would have kicked off. So the idea that she gets to do that and he doesn't have room to do anything or say anything that might offend her, I don't get. And then you have Mackenzie and Jess arrive, and you could tell the guys wanted to know who they were. So you have Johnny run to introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Johnny. And then obviously Mackenzie introduced herself, and then Jess. And you could see that Jimmy felt some type of way, and the girls were saying, oh, him and her being here. So everybody knows that there was a very strong bond between Jimmy and Jess, and Chelsea somehow managed to win Jimmy over. She played him by telling him, she looks like Megan Fox. And for him, you can tell he's impressed. He really is impressed. I don't know what he was discussing with Laura. I really would have wanted to know, because as soon as Jess came, you could see he was fidgety. And I think he really likes her. So they pull each other for a chat, and it's like that Shane and Shauna thing on season 2. It's interesting watching Jimmy and sort of Jessica have a conversation. Everybody saw this coming because they knew they needed to have a conversation. I think Jimmy and Jessica were closer than he was with Chelsea. And I think even Chelsea herself knows this. This is why she kept looking over her shoulder and even mentioned that, oh, look at him and her. And it's like, what really happened in the pods? I wish we had a more sort of clearer picture and understanding of what exactly happened, the timeline. I can't wait for their interviews so that we actually hear the correct details of how did their dating go, how did their breakup come about, and how did Chelsea suddenly win him over, because it doesn't seem like initially he was as into Chelsea as he was into Jessica. And then seeing Jessica, you can see he's anxious, you can see he's bothered, because he even said it that, you know, you make me nervous. And it's like, why does she make you nervous? You know, you've got a wife, you shouldn't be nervous, you should be comfortable in your relationship and you should be happy. I don't know how Chelsea is going to feel once she sees this. She might kick off again and then you're back to square one. The fact that he kept looking at her, you could tell he knew he had screwed up, but he couldn't go back and sort of say, you know, oh, I made a mistake, because then if his wife sees that, then she won't like that. And you had Jessica sort of trying to sort of toe the line and make sure that she didn't say or do anything that could be seen as inappropriate, because she even said, you know, I'd practiced my handshake with you, so you coming in for a hug had me a bit sort of shaken. I didn't know how to behave. And then she sort of took back her comment about him needing an EpiPen. I think he's nervous because he knows he was punching. And when she said, I'm your ex, he didn't want to accept that she was his ex. And it's like, she is your ex because you dated her and then you chose somebody else. So she is an ex and she's right to acknowledge that you are exes. I think there's more to that couple than, you know, I think, well, some part of me thinks that Jimmy regrets it. Unless Chelsea has changed, because if she's still the same toxic person she was on the show, then he's got a lot of buyer's remorse because he's been through a lot. And the fact that he felt comfortable enough to tell Jessica about his fight with Chelsea without being prompted. Oh, Chelsea ain't going to like this. This is going to be drama. And so I can't wait to see what happens. But hey, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. It's going to be interesting to see how the love triangle between Jeremy, Laura, and Sarah Ann is addressed once Sarah Ann arrives. But hey, that's for the next episode. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 9. Bye guys.